The cup's been empty. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. Eyes open, watch me move. Yeah, I called it passion, I called it the grind. Poured from the bottom and called it divine. Said I got this, with nothing left to give. Smiled through the static, called that how you live. The doubt crept in and I believed the lie, that I was the problem, that I'd run dry. But it wasn't weakness, it wasn't my fault. It was a warning I forgot to call. Flat on the page, saying yes when I mean no. Losing my own thread, going through the motions slow. That's not who I am, that's a cup with a hole. And the second I name it, I take back control. I see it now, and that's my power. Wide awake in this exact hour. No more pouring from the floor. I know the difference now, I won't ignore. Don't unsee, I'm awake. Forever it's a day, that's the truth I miss. Can't out hustle a cup with a crack in it. Meanwhile, I've gotta roll louder than my habits do, cause the habits will drag me right back to the old me too. So I'm done auditioning for tired, done dressing burnout up like it's required. The fire I want doesn't burn me down, it's the kind that's contained, it holds its ground. Flat on the page, saying yes when I mean no. Losing my own thread, going through the motion slow. That's not who I am, that's a cup with the hole. And the second I name it, I take back control. I see it now, and that's my power. Wide awake in this exact hour. No more pouring from the floor. I know the difference now, I won't ignore. Don't unsee, I'm awake. Overflow was never the prize, it was the source the whole time. Not the reward at the end of the climb, it's where I lead from now and I rise. Cup full, eyes open, I rise. Holes named, all spoken, I rise. Watch the woman that I'm becoming. Watch me, watch me. I see it now, and that's my power. Wide awake in this exact hour. No more pouring from the floor. I built the difference in, I'm sure. Don't unsee, I'm awake.
Hello, and welcome to the live. I usually do not do these. This is the Heart-Led CEO podcast. My name is Tiffany Walters, and this is my 60th episode, and I'm so excited for today because I have a special guest. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. I hope you like that song. That song was perfectly curated for today. And if you've been running your business on empty and calling that dedication, then this episode is for you, because burnout is not a productivity problem. It is not being lazy. It is not being dedicated problem. It is actually a receiving problem. I've been kind of giving you guys some information about my journey with burnout, and I brought together a really amazing episode for our 60th episode with my good friend Tiffany, who is the CEO of Entice Me. And today she's going to help you think about the receiving problem that you might be experiencing in a way that you've never actually thought about before. Now, before I bring her on, because she's in the green room, and I'm really, really excited to welcome her. Let me get her little bio that I have for her so that you guys have it ready. Because I want to make sure this is a topic that I love talking about, but I've never actually talked about it on like YouTube and Facebook. And so I want to make sure that I don't say anything I'm not supposed to, because Tiffany has more experience with that than I do. But okay, so Tiffany is the founder and chief sexinista of Entice Me soirees and sexy survivors. She's based in Long Beach, California. She has over 20 years immersed in the study of human sexuality alongside the top sexual medicine practitioners in the country. Tiffany is known in the wellness world as an expert on the anatomy of pleasure and has made it her life's mission to close the pleasure gap between the sexes. So she went from a successful corporate career to a bold pivot into one of the most censored, most misunderstood industries out there, creating a safe space for women to explore their bodies, reclaim self love, and find healing. She's a master at disarming sexual shame and normalizing conversations around pleasure, and she inspires women to love their bodies and experience the kind of abundance that starts from the inside out. Her work connects directly to leadership, confidence, and receiving. And yes, her clients have reported newfound assertiveness in asking for raises, reducing body dysmorphia, and deeply renewed sense of self. So I want to welcome Tiffany.
Oh my gosh, that was an amazing intro. And I love your song. That song was amazing.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. I'm changing my camera real quick. But go ahead. I'm gonna give it to you because I know I tried to do you justice, but I
Oh my gosh.
I know that it's a little bit easier when we have these conversations and have a chance to actually introduce ourselves from where we want to be like known from, and not just what the web has.
Well, I think you did a great job. Everything that I stand for, my big goal in life is to guide women to step into their essential power, and to when we do that, I believe we'll restore the balance to the planet.
Mhm.
And I got started in this because as I thought I wanted more sex, but I realized I wanted better sex and I didn't know what that meant. And when I figured it out, I was like, why don't we teach every woman this? If everybody had more orgasms, we could have world peace. Like, you can't be upset if you just had an orgasm. So
And
that's what I
so,
teach. I teach pleasure.
go ahead.
And
No.
it came from being really from a place of disconnect in my body. And it was what we learn about our bodies in society, but also in a very corporate career that was very male dominated, and not
Mhm.
being able to be myself.
Beautiful. And I mean, for those of you who are joining and we're like, whoa, I did not think you guys were going to talk about this. We were talking about F.I.L.L's a turned on CEO. And the reason that I really wanted to bring this on is because Tiffany and I had a really good discussion before we even planned this about where our works kind of intersect. And I really do believe that everything starts from the inside, because when I look at my journey from burnout, I had a lot of stress from unresolved trauma. I had low body positivity. I had really low self esteem. And that's really where my first business was birthed, which was Fat Mermaids, PHAT, where I basically take women over the age of 30 who are suffering from those things and teach them strength and balance on the water. That is exactly what I do. And when we talked about like our both of our businesses, it was really this connection of you can't really be the CEO that you want to be if your insides aren't fixed. Just like I don't think that you can have a great marriage if you're still dealing with stuff on the backside that inhibits you from being able to speak up for yourself, to ask for what you want, and that goes in and out of the bedroom. And so from my story, you guys, I kind of gave you guys that backstory in the last episode to really prep you for this, because I really do believe that this connects directly with the wellness industry, in that our burnout that we tend to have is a receiving problem. And so I think that the safest way to practice receiving in a really healthy way is actually in intimacy, whether it's with yourself or with a partner. I think for some of us, when we hear the word, like, the big O, or we were talking about how I have to introduce Kegel exercises in my pre and postnatal workshops, because of the fact that Kegels are super powerful for women, but they have this connection of feeling like, ooh, like we don't talk about that, muffin ears, like that's for bedroom talk, like private talk. And I think that that's the first problem that we need to start. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with Tiffany on the live Facebook, YouTube. If you're joining us, let us know where you're dropping in from. I always forget to pull up the comments. Oh, we have a bunch of people. Okay. I'm gonna add these to the broadcast. Oh, they're really small, you guys. Oh my goodness. So we have KK saying hi. So I don't know if you have anything to say while I'm fixing this so that we can get people in the thing. But we have a bunch of people
I
saying hi. So anyways, yeah, go ahead and kind of, what was your kind of first impression when we had that initial conversation about why we wanted to have this as like our first thing together?
we just really connected on that body positivity piece to start with, and that it starts with you. I believe that so many women are disconnected from their bodies, and that it is why women aren't experiencing pleasure and the bedroom, but also that they're not getting what they want in their business. And that turned on CEO is so true, that when you're shut off, you aren't attracting what you want, because people are
Mm-hmm.
attracted to highly sexual people. And I think we've all walked into a
Facts.
room and go, "Who is that? And what are they doing? I want that." Um, and I find that with people in now, that I never feel like I'm the most beautiful person in the room, but people are just drawn to me,
Yeah.
and they want what I have because I've embodied what I teach.
And I think that's a really important thing to build off of, because exactly, when men come into the world, they have a certain persona. And for my teachings, in terms of like what I focus on, is that I have a Luna framework. And so there's certain times of the month, whether you're menstruating or not, I've built this so that it would doesn't matter where your cycle is as a female, whether you have periods, whether you don't, whether you're going through menopause or not, everybody's still affected by this lunar kind of energy. And so there's certain times of the month where your like magnetism is on the same level as men. And so when we really understand that we as women have cycles, we're not built like men. We are not 24 hours and then we reset. We reset usually about 28 days, but taking advantage and being kind of in that zone of understanding when is our time to have that ultimate magnetic energy. And you'll notice it whether you like own it or not, that there's a certain time of the month where you are on fire. Like when you step into the room, you mean business, people want to like talk to you, they come up to you, strangers are like, oh my god, something crazy happened. A stranger came up to me, because they're attracted to that energy. And I believe that Tiffany's work in starting with yourself, because how many times have we heard, I mean, well, I've heard it because of the work that I've been, and I'm sure Tiffany hears it a lot, because we both connected, because she knows my background. My background is surgical oncology. I worked with breast cancer patients and gastrointestinal patients as my nurse life for 15 years. And so one of the main things that happens in both, not just cancer survivors, but also women when they're going through birthing. When you're becoming a parent, sex becomes a big thing. Not having it, not wanting it, not being like, and then of what happens when you're in a relationship? You feel what? Self aware, and then you feel like it's your fault. Something is wrong with you. And I don't think that there's something wrong with us. I think that it's just that we're not connected with ourselves the way we should be. And that's where Tiffany's work comes in. Because I think that when we build a business where we're actually like really loving ourselves, and that is true love, when you can go to these spaces that society has built so that we don't feel ashamed about talking about this stuff. Men don't have no shame in talking about it. Why should women? And that's where this filling the cup framework that I've built out is basically from, because she was coming to me to figure out where we could work because she knew I had that connection to surgical oncology. And then we kind of talked. I was like, I don't really have a space in that area anymore, but what I do have are my pre and my postnatal, because postpartum changed the game for me. Like, it really changed my desire, my self, like, esteem, and my hormones, like all these things that people don't talk about. And when I talked to like some of the doulas, they were like, "Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing because I never had the problem." And why is that a problem? Because nobody's talking about it when it is a problem for you, because it doesn't feel like a safe thing. And when we don't see other people talking about these things, we assume that it is our something on us, something that's wrong with us as women. We always self-blame, and that needs to stop. And so that's why I'm being bold. I don't have no problems talking about intimacy or things like that, because I do believe that it's really powerful. And I was raised Catholic, you guys. Things like this, yeah, my family, hopefully my mom's watching. Mom, be proud of me. Don't don't be ashamed because she watches the podcast or she listens to it. But it is about owning your body so that you can own your power, because a woman who is fulfilled and filled from a cup perspective, okay, 100%, and is serving from overflow and not from within your cup, is unstoppable. And you need to learn how to pleasure yourself in all aspects of your life so that you can actually live the life that you want. Do you have anything to like add before we go into that framework?
I love that you do the Luna cycle. It's so powerful. And I just learned about that a couple of years ago, and I still want to learn more about it. But also
Ooh.
with along with that is that men self-pleasure about 23% more than women in
Ooh.
studies, But if you look at the gender wage gap, what is it? About 21 cents on the dollar.
Oh, that's right, you did. And that was really interesting. I was like, what?
And so
So,
that's power because and men know it. They've been holding it hostage for tens of thousands of years of knowing that, right? Like
yeah.
we're taught completely different about pleasure than boys are when we're growing up.
That's true. I mean, that is true, because for us, it's like it's not even a conversation. The only conversation you get is when your menstrual cycle starts, and then it's like, okay, you're a woman and you got to change how you are. You can't play with dirt and be with the boys, and you got to start doing all these things. But for men, it's like, here's a sock and some lotion.
Yeah.
Don't put it on the sheets. Um, and so that's very true. And I mean, that's where I think we need to start changing the conversation, because for my generation, so I'm like the cusp of millennials and then the generation behind me, which I don't remember what that one is. Um,
Gen
it's very,
X. I'm Gen X.
is it Gen X? Okay, so Gen X and millennials, like I'm right there. I'm 1981. So I'm 45 and I'm proud. But I also, like, there was a time in my life where I was coming out of a really bad abusive relationship, and I was not who I was. I was completely this separate person. Like, even my grandma was like, I don't know who you are, and I don't want you to come back until you find where my granddaughter is. Like, it was heartbreaking. And that was kind of like the wake up call that I had changed everything I was to basically meet the needs of a man that didn't really love me. And so when I finally was able to get out of that relationship, I spent 6 years by myself. And so some people were like, how did you like, did you date? I was like, no, not really. And they're like, what? Like, how did you, And I'm like, "Psh, myself, like, I can, I can pleasure myself so much quicker because I'm in tune with my body. I took 6 years to get to know the real me. And part of that journey was that. And so I don't have any problems now in my marriage relationships to be like that it's not working. Let's try something else. And I think that that's the conversation that a lot of us are scared to have of, with our partners. And until you know how to do it for yourself, how can you teach someone else to do it for you? I mean, sometimes you get lucky, but most of the time it's like it's such a better conversation when you know how to do it for yourself. And that goes for anything. I think
Yeah.
right now with the age of AI, and I'd love to hear your perspective, Tiffany, is like we're letting AI do so much for us. And how many of us are actually still taking that extra time to have the conversation with our language models to actually learn the basics so that what if LMs, what if AI just kind of like gets shut down like all of a sudden and all these skills that you were having to do, how many of those could you still do for yourself? And I think that that's kind of where the conversation for me goes is that allowing myself to explore my body that way on a deeper level really helped open up of things that I was ashamed of, trauma that I had not resolved, being more open to actually talking to people about other things of baggage that I was carrying that was adding the stress. Because all of my heart problems, you guys, I had 2 heart conditions at 25, all were poor stress management. And I knew coming into entrepreneurship, stress is a big factor. Why do so many wellness entrepreneurs burn out? Because we have a receiving problem. We would rather give you guys services for free. Don't worry about it. You don't got to pay me. I just had someone is just like, you did such a good work for me. I wrote up some articles for Kaplan community and she's like, I want to give you something as a thank you. And that inside voice of me like, you don't have to, it's okay. I'll be like, oh no, I take either of those of those things. So it's something that you have to practice. And Tiffany, I don't know, like for someone who's listening right now and is like, okay, like I can see it from not so much an intimacy problem, but how this affects me in my business.
It affects everything because if you even think about how we as women receive compliments, most women downplay it. Like, oh, I love your shirt. Oh, well, I got it at TJ Maxx, blah, 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 blah. You have to justify it. Men are like, oh, really? Thank you. And so just learning to say thank you and to
Mm.
receive and shut up. Just thank you is a full sentence and go, thank you. That it
That is
doesn't have to
very true.
be like I saw somebody's shoes the other day and she was like, oh, I've had these forever. And I'm like, okay, but I didn't ask that. I just said that I like your shoes. And so it starts with those little things. And if we don't pay attention to those, how many times I had a boss that called me out on this once and it was so powerful. He's like, you're always saying sorry for what? Like, because you walk behind me, And so we go, oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. Like, no, what are you sorry for?
That is so true. And there's so many people like, stop saying you're sorry because it gets on my nerves. And that's where my first business like really came in because Fat Mermaids is a body positivity. And one of the first things that I was like, you have to stop saying sorry. Stop apologizing. And they're like, I do that a lot. And I'm like, this is a problem and it's not a you problem, it's a society problem. And you just got to figure out what why do you have to feel like you have to say sorry for yourself? Girl, you need to own whatever it is that you got. You're a badass on this water. You're a badass in life. Let's make this happen. And that's kind of my first business. So everything about Empower Her Wave or leading up to has all led to the fact that my main mission is to empower women in any stage of life. And I think one of the first things that we should talk about, like, what are your viewpoints with talking to young women with regards to this, because I think it needs to start at that conversation. I mean, I think for me, the conversation when I had my first cycle, like it was like very awkward. It was uncomfortable. I even hid it from my mom. She didn't even know that I had mine because I had mine really early, like at 10. And so, you know, it wasn't something that was necessarily a comfortable conversation. Our parents had no like educational support in like how to have these conversations. They kind of was like, Mom, what do I say to their moms? And their moms were like really taboo conversations,
Right.
like you don't say nothing, because then I think the misconception is that when you have the conversation that you invite the practice. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
when is
And
too
that's so
young.
wrong.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just because you're educating yourself about, or someone about your body, or someone, educating about the body, doesn't mean you're going to go out and do it. I think, that's where we go wrong in a lot of things is if we talk about it, abstinence only sex ed is a big example of that, of we don't talk about it. So they're not going to get pregnant because they're not going to have sex. They're not going to know what to do. Kids figure it out. And that's one reason I'm really passionate about what I do, because I grew up in an area in Idaho where it was very conservative. We were not a conservative family. And my junior year in high school, we had the highest pregnancy rate per capita in the country. In a town of 9,700 people, I knew 22 girls that were pregnant my junior year in high school.
Wow. That
You know why?
wow.
Because they wanted someone, they would tell me, I just want someone to love me. This baby will love me. And
Man.
that's when you look at where that gap starts to open up on confidence. It's that 13, 14 menstrual area. Menstruation is still so ew and taboo, and we
Mhm.
don't talk about it. We hide the tampons in our grocery cart and everything.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true.
Uh,
I mean, if you're
like,
watching
half
live,
of the
like
population has a period, but yet we don't want anyone to know.
if you're watching live, drop it in the chat. If like there's no shame, this is a safe space. Like, have you ever gone to the grocery store and tried to like hide your, your monthly, your tampons, your pads, whatever you use, in your grocery cart? And it's funny for me because it's this really not weird, but it's just this new conversation to have because I have a son who's 4 and I don't have no shame. Like I put it in, I was like, we gotta go get something for mommy. And he does, I was just like, eventually I'm gonna have to explain to you this, but I think having him understand will help the world, in my opinion, because then he will support whatever partner he gets in the future. Or if he runs into somebody like in high school or whatever, and they're having a problems, like there's, bound to be somebody who's going to bleed through in high school or June, depending on your menstrual. And instead of it becoming like a laughing thing, I want to raise a man who will support her and be like, that's not, you don't need to be laughing about that, and then help, as opposed to the other way. It becomes this humor in the room because people are uncomfortable. And when we remove that uncomfortableness, because it's like we talk about this all the time, like it's nothing new. We know that it happens. I think that's where the shift happens. And I think that needs to also like come into our workspace when there's things in our workspace, things that only women really experience in a CEO perspective, from an entrepreneur perspective, just like I experience as a mom. Like there's so many things that I had to go through that I felt alone in because nobody was talking about it. So then I became the first person to talk about it. And then of course, people were flooding and was like, dude, thank you so much for saying what you said because that's exactly how I feel now. And it's really sad that some of us have to just be that bold person, but that's why we're here, because Tiffany and I want to have this conversation. We want you guys to be comfortable having it within your own circles, your own families, your own communities, because that's where the change starts. It doesn't change with you just watching this and then going about your business. So let's just kind of come into Do you have anything to say before we go into like the full framework of like
Yeah,
I'm
I wanted
fascinated
to
about
say,
everything about what you say. So,
um, when you asked about like when we should start introducing it, I think at that like 14, 13, 14-year-old girls need to know about self-pleasure. The boys are already masturbating. They're talking about it in the locker room and everything, but when girls need that confidence piece that comes along with self-pleasure and knowing their bodies. And it's not dirty, it's not bad, it's not going to make them go out and have sex. It's probably going to make them just feel better about themselves. We know that it reduces stress, it reduces anxiety, it helps with menstrual cramps. I mean, just teach your daughters to do that just to relieve cramps in a natural way. And they start to learn about their bodies. I wish I would have, known about pleasure then.
yeah. I mean, for me it was a really hard time, and I think it would have removed some shame from like that first, like having a real conversation instead of it just kind of being brushed under the rug. So I have a framework, and it's FILL, and the first one is the first letter is F, and it's feeling your body's wisdom. This one's really big for me because when I first started in my burnout journey of like this journey of figuring out myself, my body, and becoming more intuitive, was that I thought I had it figured out. As I was a nurse. I have a very monotone, voice. I felt like I do not stress. Like, you really have to work me up to get me to like raise my voice, and like you'll know when I'm PO'd. I'm Scorpio. There was a lot of stuff that I had. You either liked me or you didn't like me. I was very cut dry kind of gal. And I thought it was like a perfect scenario for all the things. I exercised, I was running marathons, I was eating healthy, I was cooking my own meals. And, I thought I had it all figured out. But it wasn't until I got diagnosed with my two heart conditions and went on the journey to figure out what the hell is going on, because it would just came out of nowhere, in my opinion. It didn't really. 20 years took me to figure out. It really did not take. It really didn't come from nowhere. It was really a compound of like 20 years of really suppressing so much trauma, so much shame, so much things that I just internalized. And because I didn't know how to express any of it, I grew up in a household where like, are you crying? Do you want something to cry about? Like, crying was a sign of weakness. And that really kind of messed me up throughout life, because I would wait until things got to the ultimate point where I would like lash out. I would be the most awful person to be around. And when I started to see people's reactions around me, that that's who I was becoming, then I would go into a closet where it was completely dark. I couldn't even see myself. And then I would ugly cry and let everything out. And to me, it worked because then I let everything out and then I felt completely fine. I'd had that full on, like, sigh. My body would physically be like, thank God. And then I would leave, I would, dry my tears up and then leave. Why did that work for me? Because in my mind, I couldn't even see myself crying. So it did not happen. I didn't cry. Like, that was my mentality. I was really messed up, you guys. It took me a really long time. And I talk about this openly because I'm sure that there's people out there that never were taught crying is actually okay. So when I talk to my son, I do not like it when other men say, we don't cry, like boys don't cry, whatever. I was like, in this house, they do. Because I don't want him to have the same childhood and like, full on adulthood that I had, where I suffered because I would go at adamant lengths to not cry because I just wasn't self secure with myself. And when I started to cry openly, it sucked. I'm not going to lie. I didn't like it. But I also started to see this connection with like, I could sense things in my body before they had even happened. I kind of understood this cycle syncing because I was so in tune with my body, but it doesn't just come. It does take what? Practice. And so, Tiffany, what do you have to say from your angles lens of sensing the body's wisdom when it comes to what you do?
I think our bodies are very intuitive, and a lot of times I hear women say, oh, that's somebody else's responsibility to give me pleasure. And so learning to touch yourself and actually feel and not be so disconnected. And because we go, what everything you said, that was me in corporate America. Maybe not the crying, but I had like a badge of honor, like you either love me or you hate me, and it's either black or white. Or, if I can make somebody cry, that was a good thing. Like, I was such a horrible person that I was just so not into my body. I wasn't listening to myself. I was doing something, and I would get home from work and be like, who was that? That's not even me. And I've realized that we go through life and we touch ourselves all the time, but we forget to feel. We see beauty
Mm,
every day, but we forget to look at it. So I'd like everybody to just kind of like close your eyes for a minute and just put your fingers on your face and just start to just gently stroke your face and really pay attention to where your fingertips are coming in contact with your skin. This is called sensate touch or sensate focus. And really pay attention. What does it feel like? What's the texture? What's the temperature? What do you smell around you? What is the sounds you hear? What does that really feel like? And if your mind starts to wander, go back to where your fingertips are touching your face. And it just really brings you into the moment. And it activates your skin, which is oxytocin coming to this your into your system.
yep, yep.
We're all,
I mean, and that's what we actually do because I do face yoga. And so that's why it
oh,
works
very
because
good.
it kind of helps stimulates your stuff. Like when you're doing like really like big poses, we tap just like we tap um when you're anxious and stuff like that in yoga, like let's just tap it out, like shake it out. Why? Because of the fact that that actually stimulates. So she's 100% right. And it kind of goes into our next letter, which is invite pleasure back in. And this is a big one because what do women, and I think actually not just women, I think men do it too, but I think it affects women more in from a non, from me, I'm coming from you as like an entrepreneurship and a wellness perspective, is that we wait to have the reward instead of like we feel like I'm not going to buy this new pair of jeans or I'm not going to go on this vacation until da 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 I lose 10 pounds or until I, hit my, my 5K months or until I can finish this one project. And then by the time you push through, because you didn't give yourself enough time to really enjoy the moment, enjoy your life during the process, you're so exhausted that you're almost resentful from like, what the F was that all that for? And I think, that shows up a lot in my life of like, I worked really hard. Like I worked at one point 3 jobs. I worked sometimes 10 hours during the week, Monday through Friday, 2 12-hour shifts on the weekend, every other weekend, and then I was a bar back. People were like, "You're a nurse. Like, what are you doing?" I was just like, "Well, I want to know I this was my end because I don't know. I think I want to be a chef one day. Y'all, I'm like crazy that way, but I wanted to see, and that was my entry point. I got to be around the restaurant. I got to like be in the back and like see the chefs and the sous chefs, and that was my reward. But it was a reward of having to work harder for something that I could have been like, can I just shadow you guys because I didn't know how to ask for what I wanted. And so it comes up in so much of been like the pleasure can simply be asking for what you're worth. If you're like, I want to raise my prices, what are one of the biggest things that we have as wellness entrepreneurs? We don't like talking about money. We don't like we're happy about talking about everything else until it comes to the money. And then we're like, oh yeah, see, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Like whatever you think you want to pay. Like we love us some donate. Like when we teach yoga, and then you just leave the person to pay whatever you think the class is worth. And how many of us do that? Like if you're still watching in your live, like have you ever done sometimes yes, for certain things, like if it's really to raise money for something, but how many of us do it just because? Or we really are like, whatever you think, you want to pay me. Like how many times do we relinquish that and give it to the other person instead of just being like, this is how much this is how much you got to pay me if you want what I got.
Well, then too, you become resentful that maybe people aren't paying you what you deserve, and then you get burnt out because you're doing having to work multiple things and multiple jobs because people aren't paying you what you're worth. So I always say have an orgasm before you go into any of those sales conversations, and it will change your life.
That now that I wish I had like buzzers. I don't have like a stream deck, but if I had one, I'd be like, cha-ching, that's your golden nugget, you guys. And I have some related questions, but unrelated because,
Yeah.
for women, as we start to get older, I think the conversation starts to shift in terms of like not just women like having the next shift in hormonal changes. A lot of them, when the sex drive is down, like this is I think a good place to go with this is when our hormones are down, whether it's with your postpartum, because when you're prenatal, you go through the surge, like you are like turned on all the time. Like that was a real thing. And I don't know if it's like that for everybody. Obviously, if you're dealing with like complicated pregnancy things, then I can see that not being the factor. But for me, it was like, phew. But then as soon as postpartum hit, somebody like turned the faucet, put the chastity belt on, and it was like done. Some of it was because of trauma, but some of it was really like hormonal. And I was like, I don't know what to do. This is new territory for me because I usually am not like this. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. Okay, because we go there first.
Yeah.
And I was like, if this is hormonal, what can I do to help me like go? And I think that's where I want to make sure that you clarify or get your feelings, that I don't think it has to necessarily be something where you get like your big O, like what most people think when they think orgasms and things like that. I think that there's other ways to pleasure yourself that give you that same sensation and allow you to capture your own power.
Well, it starts with slowing down and exploring your senses, like we just did that activity. You know, when you're taking a shower, do the same thing, touch your body. That's going to activate hormones. It's not as much as when you have an orgasm, but it really starts to get you into your body and to feel. So touching yourself when is one of the best ways to increase your hormonal levels. The more they say, sex begets more sex. That can be sex with yourself. But if you don't feel like touching yourself genitally and pleasuring yourself, just touch yourself and fill your cup in whatever way that is. It's self-full, not selfish, to take that time. And so many moms say, "Oh, I don't have time. Kids are doing this." No, your husband or your partner is taking time to go for a jog or go to the gym, they can watch the kids for an hour. Light the candles. Use the body lotion that you're saving for a rainy day, when you're rewarding yourself. Oh, I'm going to save this for date night. Well, that was, your last date was 5 years ago,
Facts.
right?
Yep, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I say, set the scene for yourself. A lot of women don't feel sexy because we put it on a to-do list as like, oh, a check. I got a self
Hmm.
pleasure check. Oh, I got a shower check. body lotion. Like, slow down and feel yourself. Light the candles. Lay in bed. Even if you don't do anything, just lay in bed and touch your skin. Do the things that you would do for a new lover, but do them for yourself, because that new lover is you. Every part of your journey and our lives, every segment is a new you. Postpartum, being a mom is completely new you than when you before you had a baby. Before you had cancer, you're a different person afterwards. After
Yep.
a divorce, anything, menopause, all of it. And you get to reinvent yourself and be there for you. That new person coming into your life is you.
I love that because it really takes this reframe of like, instead of these things that we have to go through, it's just this new opportunity to relearn how to love ourselves in this new chapter, because it's not just this one thing, which is why I encourage women to not compete with men from a CEO perspective, at their level. Like, we continue to compete with men at their level when we're not even in the same like ring. Like, we are fighting on a completely different platform. If men came into women's, ring, like if we were wrestling together, fighting, and we brought them into our ring instead of us going into theirs, game over, knockout in like first round. They could not survive anything. I'm noticing like these
They
viral reels
couldn't
of these
they
groups.
couldn't have a period. They couldn't put a tampon in. They couldn't have a baby. They couldn't go have a hot flash. Like, you name it. There's
Yes. And I think that when we start to reframe that and start to own that power instead of just dismissing it as like it's just our womanly, duties, then it's like, hell nah, like this is my CEO power. Like, who are you to talk to me like that? You have nothing. Like, as far as I'm concerned, you're like a peewee. Like, women could survive without y'all. I mean, we don't need to go to that. I think we need to build those relationships, but we need to remove ourselves from feeling like we have to directly compete with men at their level when we are not built like men. There's a reason why, because our purpose in life is so much greater than a man's, like, to be honest, because of all the things that we're meant to be able to do, whether you choose to do those or not. I'm not saying you have to go have a baby or you have to go do these things, but physiologically, you go through the motions. You were going to have a menstrual cycle. You are going to experience perimenopause, menopause, whether you have to have something surgically removed or it just happens naturally. And when we stop looking at these changes of life as like this next uphill hurdle of like, God, this is why I hate being a woman. We have to go through so much. I'm like, no, this is the times we get to celebrate, because these are the, to me, like the what would the word be, like the proof of the superpower human that you are, because you get like, it's just this journey of like, I'm privileged to have to go through this now. I used to hate being a girl. I used to hate having menstrual cycles. I had PCOS, and so I was on birth control because that's what the doctors told me I had to do, and I was on it for pretty much 20 years, like no menstrual cycles. And it wasn't until I decided to take ownership postpartum, 40s. I'm like, you know what? I don't know how many more cycles I have left in my body, but I want to be able to like listen and really understand what my body's going through, because I realize that all of those cycles that I missed out on were actually potential opportunities for my body to get the healing and these hormones and stuff that actually protect women. Like, our bodies are built so beautifully, but when we start to like fight it and talk bad to it, we are like, I love the there's a Japanese scientist who did an experiment on water. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's
when
like
you,
really
yeah, I
old.
think I have.
And he took some vials of water and he put different things on the front of them. Some of them he put peace, some of them he put love, some of them he put hate and disgust. and he spoke good things to the love and the peace, beautiful, like, poetry and nice things and loving things. And on the two other ones, he would like, you're disgusting, you're so ugly, like things that we naturally say to ourselves. And then he froze the water molecules, and then looked them under the microscope, and the molecules themselves looked completely different. So the theory was, if words can do that to water, and we are 80% water, your self thoughts of what you tell yourself, the things that you don't allow yourself to experience from both pleasure in your personal life, your body, and your business, what do you think it does to you? And I think that goes into the next letter, which is L, the first L, which is let yourself receive. And I think that is where I'm going to let you take over, Tiffany, because for my community, it is what I just said. It is one of the hardest things for us to learn how to receive. And I think that goes for most women because we're taught. I think that there's that disconnect of feeling like it is something we just have to be like happy that it's happening, that we have a partner or whatever, or like it's our duty as women for certain things, and we just need to roll with it. Like we need to be the bigger person or whatever it is. And so I'd love your kind of take on, letting yourself receive. If you're really bad at it, how do you approach it, from your perspective?
I want to start with just that whole piece of, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Hold, please. My perimenopause brain will come back onto the line. But, we say things to ourselves we would never allow someone else to say to us. We would never say to another person. And we also, everything that we get, like your monthly reset, your menstrual cycle is kind of like a reset. Also hated it, everything about it, still, but we get to have that. How many people would love to be alive to have that, that maybe passed away early or something like that? We get to have these experiences that other people wish that they would get to have. And we need to treat ourselves with that respect and that love. And I think back with this L, I really think back to when I started my company, is that I come back to that piece of, like, men are taught about pleasure and we're taught about the consequences that come with sex or being sexual. And even like, I grew up, in the 80s and 90s. I'm a little bit older than you. I just turned 53. And
Beautiful.
like, thank you. I feel like I'm super young still. It's all the orgasms that does help your wrinkles and cellulite and everything. But like all the I thought something was wrong with me because I wasn't having this blissful toe curling pleasure that everyone was having. And Cosmo magazine was like where you got your sex education. Um, it was very him focused, like turn him on, how to give him a blowjob, how to make him come in 5 minutes, whatever. Um, and that wasn't ever focused on us. We didn't ever learn about pleasure. We didn't ever learn about our bodies. And so when we talked about this kind of at the beginning, is when you're full, you can give so much to everything else that you do. When you're empty, you're just empty, and you can't give from emptiness. You can't pour, an empty cup is empty. And that we're just so ingrained in our patriarchal society that we should just be martyrs to everything. And we have to change that narrative and that belief system, that it's not selfish to take time for ourselves, and take time for self-care, that it's self-full.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
when
a
we get
beautiful way.
depleted, we become disconnected, but then we become really resentful as well.
Hmm.
And so then it just creates a bigger cycle of disinterest and disgust and resentment, and everything just builds up, and you're just like, "Argh."
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's why our gifts that we gave for people who signed up for the Turned On CEO, so that they could get notified of the live and join us was so beautiful, because I'm coming from the burnout perspective. And I know that sometimes it's hard to know, like, is this burnout, or is it just that, we tend to try to figure out a problem, and we dismiss burnout as like a real thing, something that happens. Men don't think that it happens, but that's because they're men. They don't have the senses and the experiences and the body that women have. And so I built the Overflow audit, which really helps you kind of identify, one, if you're serving from within your cup or you're serving from empty. And that's kind of the big thing that we were really trying to bring together, is this in this fill. It's that most women tend to serve from within their cup, and we need to start building a community of CEOs who are actually going to be able to serve from the overflow. You need to be good about filling your cup, and the only way to fill is by being able to receive. And we are in a receive deficit in the women wellness industry. I'm pretty sure that it is most women entrepreneurs. We have a hard time saying no. We have a hard, like, for the wrong, like, if you already know that there's somebody that's not a right fit, your internal instincts, we have really beautiful, like, instinctual feelings inside of our body. And if you're not in tuned with yourself, then you're going to miss it, and you're going to say yes to the wrong person, and then it's just going to make things so much worse for you. Or we feel like we can't say no, or like, oh, I really want to help her though, but I'm like at capacity, and you still do it anyways. I'll figure it out, instead of just saying no. Like, and I think that's where power partners come in. We have so much competition in entrepreneurship, where I feel like this is why I want to know other women who are doing the same type of coaching as me, or the same content like creation and branding, where I know other women who are teaching pre and postnatal yoga, where I know other women who are teaching sup yoga, because if I can't do it, I don't want you to miss out on the power of the things that I know works for you. And it should be the same way. We should stop looking at ourselves as competition and start looking at ourselves as power partners, so that when you cannot serve from within your cup because you shouldn't, you have somebody else who might have a fuller cup that they can serve your people from. It is not about who gets, then I'm going to give my people away, then I'm not going to make any money. It is not about that. It is about us as a whole and uplifting each other together. Because that gesture of you treating that other person as your power partner, 1000%, I truly believe that that energy will come back to you. And you built this beautiful one for people who are really ready to explore themselves from a pleasure perspective and open up that window, because it is this cascade. Once you open up that first window and you really understand this receiving from a different perspective than we were raised to believe or to learn about, or to say that it's okay and it's safe and it's not, like, taboo, then it opens up the Pandora's box to being this unstoppable CEO. As Tiffany's already said, the way your magnetism walks in, whether it's an on day or an off day, you still have that power, because it's reserved. You have reserved power, and you're not overextending yourself. So you always have this capacity where, like, even on your low days, even on your menstrual days, you can still carry that same power in everything that you do, from your business to your life. And I really believe that. And so you have a really beautiful, the O decoder a gift. So for those of you who are still watching, you guys can go into the website that's on the screen, empowerherwave.com/turned on CEO, with a dash between the two. And you can still sign up for them. You get both of those gifts for free. And I think whichever where you're at, or if you want to try both of them, because sometimes you just, awareness is power and you may not even know where you are, which leads us to this last place, which is leading, the last L, which is lead from that place of, this turned on CEO, like in really owning what we're trying to get you guys to understand, that like that title means. It's not just like some sexy thing that I wanted to like put. It really is what it stands like. You are turned on by yourself, like not by anybody else. And I think when we step into our work and our world and our, like, you become such a better person, a better partner, and a better business person when you know that everything that you have to be happy is inside of you and everything else is just the abundance.
I was just going to say it is pretty much exactly that, actually, that, pleasure starts with you and that you have all that you need. And a partner or someone else in the bedroom, in the boardroom, wherever, that's a bonus. But your sensuality and your sexuality starts with you and loving your body, because it's beautiful and it's just yours. No one else is exactly like you. And to really, then once you get that, things will just flow to you. You won't be chasing them. It will just bring, you'll attract the right people, you'll attract the clients, the money, and that collective of just lifting all of us up together. We don't need to be in competition or jealous of other people, because when we do something, it lifts every woman up. A couple weeks ago, I had a client that I was going to sell her this AI tool that I was doing, and I really checked myself and said, you know what? I can't do this. This isn't my zone of genius. You'd be better to get it from here, and gave her the link to someone else, because it was not where I could give her the best experience she could have.
And I
And
think that's powerful because that also takes, self awareness to
yes,
actually be able to do comfortably. So for those of you who are still watching, if you have any questions for Tiffany or myself, please drop them in the chat. I'm trying to keep an eye on them. And as we start to wrap this up, it's really this, I wrote it down so if I lost my train of thought, I would remember, but Empower Her Wave leans on trying to attract the heart-led women, wellness entrepreneur from my perspective, but from a heart-led women entrepreneurial perspective without the wellness. I think that I want to make sure that we're clear on what I think you guys should be carrying when you own or place that heart-led title into your your job title or how you associate yourself. That it does not mean heart-led in all its essence does not mean slow, it does not mean soft. I don't believe that it means that it's something like strategic that you're doing. I think that it truly means that you're running a business from this full cup, and you've learned how to do that, and that you only serve from overflow, and you basically have learned to stop serving from within the cup. Like, it is such a powerful thing to think about your body that way, because it starts from you to being able to take care of yourself from all aspects, from the big O to what you put in your body to the people that you surround yourself with, business or not. I mean, personal life, business life, we are the sum of the five people that we spend the most time with. And Tiffany and I worked with cancer patients a really long time. We understand the fragility of life. We do not have tomorrow. It's not promised. We hope that we have it, but what are the things that you don't want to go into the next life regretting? And that's why I have this Forever is Today behind me that I created, because that is what I want to live my life moving forward, like knowing. So Tiffany, I'm gonna give you the floor to kind of say your last little things of what you have in terms of your gift that you're giving them, anything that they should know about that, and then how to find you.
Yeah, the O decoder really is like creates your intimacy index, and it's with what is standing between you and ultimate pleasure in your life. It will uncover blocks, it will help you find your orgasm type, but also give you a path to get there. And you can find me at enticeme.com, at entice me soirees on social media. My personal Facebook is probably where I do the most content, and it's just Tiffany Yelverton. But really start today with filling your cup, and don't just bury your head in the sand and keep going when you know something isn't right. We have more intuition centers in our body than men do for a reason. So trust your gut and trust those things that don't feel right. That's for a reason. No one ever says, don't, I trusted my gut, but it was wrong. We always say, I wish I would have done this. So today is the day to start doing what you want. Start to take time for yourself, to fill yourself up with the things that you love. I like to say, like, live every day like you're on vacation. That means eat the food that you love when you go on vacation. You don't wait to have those things until you're going on vacation. Stop and smell the flowers. Look around, appreciate beauty. All those things fill your cup, and explore all of your senses in everything that you do.
Beautiful. So just to reframe, like, because that was a lot, you guys. We've been on here for an hour. I appreciate you guys if you're still watching. We had a lot of people, Eric and Ashley and Nikki, all say hi. Thank you for stopping by. Let us know if you watch this as a replay, where you're coming from, your takeaways, any questions that you might have. I can always pass them on to Tiffany. So our Fill framework was feel your body's wisdom, invite pleasure back in, let yourself receive, lead from that place, and to be that turned on CEO and that heart led CEO that you are claiming, you really need to stop serving from within your cup and start learning how to fill it by figuring out how to pleasure yourself first. So, Tiffany, I have some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Ooh,
Okay, so just
yes.
first thing that comes into your into your brain. Okay, you need to I need to take a
Okay.
sip of water real quick.
Oh, me
All
too.
right, hydration alert, you guys. If you haven't drank any water, you need to. All right, so morning person or out night owl?
Oh, night owl.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Give or receive a compliment? Which is harder?
It's harder to receive, even though I've done the work, it's still harder to receive.
Do you like giving compliments or do you like receiving them though? Like
I
you
like both.
yeah,
I
okay.
love, I think that it's always like that's an easy icebreaker is to give someone a compliment.
You might not have done one of these, but bubble bath or cold plunge?
Ooh, I love both. I take a bubble bath every night, but I do love a cold plunge.
Oh, you've done it before? Cool.
Yeah. I go
Um,
to the Korean spa and we do cold plunge. It's so awesome.
ooh, I have not. I mean, I've done polar bear dipping, but I don't know if that's the same thing. But anyways, last thing that genuinely lit you up. That should not be that. You just had a birthday.
No, there's so much. That's what the thing is
Okay, okay,
like
okay.
I love food, and so we went to a new restaurant. A friend took me to a new restaurant the other night for my birthday, and then we went to the Symphony, which was on the beach, and it was just magical.
Wow. That does sound like a fantastic birthday. Okay, last one. Fill in the blank. A turned on CEO always.
Knows her worth.
Ooh, totally thought you was going to say something else, but love it.
It all goes
Okay.
together. What you were thinking and that goes together.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, do you have anything, any last things you want to say? This was fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this with me. And for anybody watching, thank you for watching. Even if you felt uncomfortable while you guys were here watching or listening, we're here for it all because, again, it is about starting the conversation so that we can make this a norm and it doesn't have to feel uncomfortable for you or other women or our generations behind us moving forward.
Congratulations on your 60th episode. And
Thank
I'm so glad
you.
that we connected and that we've done this. And if you're watching in the replay or live, reach out. If this is about starting a new conversation and changing the way that we talk about sex, sensuality, power, our bodies. So I love these conversations. It's what really turns me on is having these kinds of conversations. And I just really think that it's important that we continue talking and that we continue creating this safe space for women to come forward and to talk about it, and that it just can be a space. It doesn't have to be special or sacred. It just is the space that we get to talk about these things all the time.
Yeah. And your Facebook community, is that an open one?
Yes. So
Okay.
it's
Because
the
she has a
power of
Facebook community,
pleasure.
you guys. So if you guys want to reach out to Tiffany, you'll get all of her information when you sign up for getting the freebies, anyways. But she's on Facebook, so you can reach out to her, DM her, and let her know. I'll make sure all her contact info is in the show notes when this goes out. And then the audio replay will be posted on the Heart-Led CEO podcast tomorrow. So if you guys wanted to just listen to it on your drive to just kind of take it back in, feel free to do that in the actual like Spotify, Apple, wherever you catch the podcast normally. Thank you. And as always, my beautiful friends, continue to be you, continue to be beautiful, continue leading from your heart, and we will catch you in the next episode.